In the top stories, the St. Kitts Tourism Authority has launched its first St. Kitts in the Spotlight event to bring industry stakeholders together. At least 12 people have been killed as severe flooding sweeps through Haiti's northwest, and the head of the International Energy Agency is warning that Europe could run short of jet fuel in as little as 6 weeks. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Major Newscast. Today is Thursday, the 16th day of April, and I am Jasmine Thomas. First on the local scene, the St. Kitts Tourism Authority has launched its inaugural St. Kitts in the Spotlight event, bringing together key stakeholders in the tourism sector. The event, held at the Park Hyatt Hotel this morning, was designed to create space for direct, face-to-face engagement between the authority and those who help drive and promote the destination. Chief Executive Officer of the St. Kitts Tourism Authority, Kelly Fontenelle, welcomed the participants and emphasized the value of strong partnerships within the industry.
To our tour operators, travel trade partners, and friends who traveled to be with us today, thank you. Thank you so much. Your presence here itself is a statement of confidence in St. Kitts, and we do not take that lightly. We created St. Kitts in the Spotlight with a deliberate intention to move beyond the transactional and into the relational. To give you not just a brochure or a presentation, but direct access to our people, our product, and our island. Tourism is at its core a business built on trust. Travelers trust your recommendation and our recommendation. Your trust to deliver the experience we promise, and that trust is built here in this room, like this, over honest conversation. This is what these upcoming days are for.
She also thanked stakeholders for their continued efforts in promoting St. Kitts as a premier tourism destination.
We also know that none of this succeeds without you, our partners. The work you do, such as curating itineraries, building confidence in a destination, and translating what we offer into a story travelers can see themselves, is irreplaceable. Our role here is to make that easier for you, more rewarding, more productive, and you're going to reap the rewards in your bank accounts.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Tivana Wharton, also welcomed the initiative, noting the critical role the tourism industry plays in supporting the national economy.
This event reflects a deliberate shift in how our ministry approaches destination development, not passively, but as an active participant in building the conditions under which tourism can flourish. Tourism is not incidental to our national agenda. It is central to it. It generates employment, supports small businesses, drives foreign exchange earnings, and funds public investments that improve life for Haitians. When tourism performs well, its effects are felt across the economy, in construction, in agriculture, in the creative industries, and in the communities that welcome visitors into their spaces.
The Ministry of Youth, Aging and Disabilities has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with ISTEAM, the Academy of Arts and Sciences, to advance community development across St. Christopher and Nevis. Their partnership will begin with a pilot program at the Sadler's Home for the Elderly, with a focus on resident care, program development, and student-led intergenerational engagement. The agreement was signed on April 15 by Minister of State Isaleen Phillip and ISTEAM founder and managing director Clelia Davis. The MOU formalizes ISTEAM's community advancement work, which began with outreach initiatives in December 2024. The organization will draw on its network of professionals, volunteers, and corporate partners to deliver community-focused programs and promote civic responsibility among young people. The Ministry of Education is warning the public that to be cautious about information relating to the ministry that is circulating outside of official ministry or government channels. The ministry says any information shared by individuals, groups, or unauthorized sources that has not been verified or published by the ministry should be disregarded, regardless of where it appears. Official information is available through the ministry's Facebook page, its website at education.gov.kn, and the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service at sknis.kn. And now for a look at news on the regional scene. At least 12 people are dead after severe flooding tore through Haiti's northwest region, with authorities warning the situation could still get worse. Heavy rains between Friday and Sunday caused rivers to burst their banks across three municipalities, Port-de-Paix, Saint Louis du Nord, and Anse-de-Foulor. The Departmental Directorate of Civil Protection says the deaths occurred in landslides and flash flooding in rural parts of Saint Louis du Nord, and a number of serious injuries have also been reported. Several people remain unaccounted for, and more than 2,500 families have been directly hit by the disaster. Preliminary assessments suggest around 1,200 homes have been submerged. Schools and health centers across 3 affected areas are buried in mud and can no longer be reached. Local officials are calling on the central government for urgent supplies, including food, drinking water, and hygiene equipment to head off a potential health crisis. Hundreds of livestock have also been lost to flood waters, dealing a devastating blow to small-scale farmers in the region. And Guyana's government is moving to strengthen and enforce litter laws that have been on the books for more than a decade but rarely applied. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Mohabir Anil Nandlal, says regulations introduced in 2013 under the Environmental Protection Act created a broad legal framework to tackle littering, but many of those provisions have never been fully implemented. The existing rules cover littering in public places, from motor vehicles, and on both public and private property. Local authorities already have the power to appoint wardens with enforcement authority, including the ability to remove derelict vehicles and initiate legal proceedings. Minister Nandlal says the government now intends to expand the scope of those regulations and increase penalties. The Summary Jurisdiction Offences Act will also be amended to introduce new littering offences, stiffer fines, community service, and prison time for repeat offenders. The initiative forms part of a wider government effort to address littering, noise nuisance, and environmental degradation across the country. On the international scene, Europe has around 6 weeks of jet fuel left, and flight cancellations could follow unless oil supplies are restored. That is the warning from the head of the International Energy Agency. Executive Director Faith Birol described the current situation as the largest energy crisis in the world has ever faced.
Weeks or so jet fuel left. If we are not able to open the Strait of Hormuz, if the refineries as a result will start to work, I can tell you soon we will hear the news that some of the flights from city A to city B might be cancelled as a result of lack of jet fuel. So 2 big problems: first, the high prices, and second, availability of the gas, availability of the jet fuel, diesel, and others.
He also raised concerns about Iran's so-called toll booth system, which allows some vessels to pass through the Strait for a fee. Birol warned that if the arrangement becomes permanent, it could set a dangerous precedent for other critical waterways, including the Malacca Strait in Asia. El Salvador's president has signed into law reforms that will allow children as young as 12 to be sentenced to life in prison. President Nayib Bukele signed the changes on Wednesday. They apply to anyone convicted of serious offenses, including homicide, rape, and gang membership. The reforms take effect later this month. New criminal courts will be established to handle these cases. Life sentences will be subject to mandatory review after several decades based on the age of the offender and the gravity of the crime. The reforms are the latest in a series of harsh measures since Bukele declared a state of emergency in 2022. Constitutional rights were suspended and more than 91,000 people have since been detained. Mass trials have become common and fewer than 10% of those held have been released. The crackdown has attracted criticism from human rights groups, but has also seen homicide rates fall sharply. We now take a look at the weather. Expect partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a moderate chance of showers throughout the day. There's about 60% chance of rain as lingering moisture and instability associated with a trough system continue to affect the area. Tonight will remain much the same with partly cloudy to cloudy conditions and a continued moderate chance of showers. Today's high will reach 32 degrees Celsius or 90 degrees Fahrenheit, while the low tonight will drop to 21 degrees Celsius or 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds will be easterly at 13 to 30 kilometers per hour or 8 to 18 miles per hour, with gusts reaching up to 44 kilometers per hour or 28 miles per hour. Seas will be moderate, ranging from 1.2 to 1.8 meters or 4 to 6 feet. Sunset today is set to be at around 6:30 and sunrise tomorrow morning will be at around 6 o'clock. That brings us to the end of the Midday Major Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jasmine Thomas. God bless you.